everyone, it's Gemma doing your Sunday study. As you can see, I am not Mike. Unfortunately, Mike has been too busy this week with work and his dissertation to get this recorded, so I'm doing the talk for you on King Herod. So to find out about King Herod, we need to read Matthew 2. Jesus was born in the town of Bethlehem in Judea during the time when Herod was king. When Jesus was born, some wise men from the east came to Jerusalem. They asked, "Where is the baby who was born to be the King of the Jews? We saw his star in the east and have come to worship him." When King Herod heard this, he was troubled, as well as all the people in Jerusalem. Herod called a meeting of all the leading priests and teachers of the law and asked where the Christ would be born. They answered, "In the town of Bethlehem in Judea. The prophet wrote about this in the scriptures. But you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are important among the tribes of Judah. A ruler will come for you, who will be like a shepherd for my people Israel." Then Herod had a secret meeting with the wise men and learned from the exact time that they first saw the star. He sent the wise men to Bethlehem, saying, "Look carefully for the child. When you find him, come and tell me, so I can worship him too." After the wise men heard the king, they left the star. They didn't leave the star. The star that they had seen in the east went before them until it stopped above the place where the child was. When the wise men saw the star, they were filled with joy. They came to the house where the child was and saw him with his mother Mary, and they bowed before and worshipped him. They opened their gifts and gave him treasures of gold, frankincense and myrrh. But God warned the wise men in a dream not to go back to Herod, so they returned to their own country by a different way. After they left, an angel of the Lord came to Joseph in a dream and said, "Get up, take the child and his mother and escape from Egypt, because Herod is starting to look for the child so he can kill him. Stay in Egypt until I tell you to return." So Joseph got up and left for Egypt during the night with the child and his mother. And Joseph stayed in Egypt until Herod died. This happened to bring what the Lord had said through the prophet, "I call my son out of Egypt." When Herod saw that the wise men had tricked him, he was furious. So he gave an order to kill all the baby boys in Bethlehem and the surrounding area who were 2 years old and younger. This was in keeping with the time he learnt from the wise men. So what God had said through the prophet Jeremiah came true. A voice was heard in Ramah of painful crying and deep sadness, Rachel crying for her children. She refused to be comforted because her children are dead. After Herod died, an angel of the Lord spoke to Joseph in a dream whilst he was in Egypt. The angel said, "Get up, take the child and his mother and go to the land of Israel, because the people who were trying to kill the child are now dead." So that was Matthew 2, verse 1 to 20. Now in there, we hear a bit about the wise men and we hear about King Herod, the villain of the Christmas story. A true villain, a real villain, not like one you see on the Avengers. From that, we know that the Magi or wise men, don't hand me the word, but they were looking for Jesus, and it had taken them roughly 2 years to follow the star. So that is why Herod said to kill all the children under 2, because he wasn't a newborn, he wasn't still in the manger, in that beautiful nativity scene we see so many times. They didn't visit the same time as the shepherds. So it was when Jesus was a toddler, around the age Alistair is now. So he was about 2. Herod hadn't heard anything about this Messiah, this King of the Jews. He thought he was King of the Jews, kings of Jerusalem. So he was quite put out to find out that there was another King of the Jews. So he had to be taught from his scholars about who this King of the Jews was, who Jesus was. The historical documents prove that Herod was alive the time of Jesus' birth. He was in charge from around 40 BC to 4 AC. I think I've written that down wrong. He was alive until 4 AC when he died. He was a successful man, a successful politician, as we would say these days. He was known as Herod the Great. He was known for rebuilding cities. He had theatres built after him, and he was a powerful, powerful man. He could defend his land and take over others. He was powerful, but he wasn't as powerful as our Jesus. Now, the scholars have looked through the books, Christian scholars and non-Christian scholars, and he was alive at the time that Jesus was born. Now, they can't find anything in any of the documents that say about the mass Bethlehem massacre, the massacre of all the under-twos in the land. And the scholars say, even though they can't find it, it doesn't mean it didn't happen. The reason it may still have happened is because it wasn't as big as what we thought. Now, to me, one child being killed is horrific. It doesn't matter how many there was. If you come and try and kill my Alistair, that's it. That is horrific for us and every single person that knows him. So for one child to be killed and whilst they're looking for Jesus is still horrific. But what the scholars say is around the time Jesus was born, there were approximately 1,500 residents in Bethlehem and the surrounds. So looking at the figures, there would have approximately been 24 2-year-olds and under. So therefore that would have been 24 roughly boys and girls. So roughly half of those would have been boys, which would have been killed. So therefore roughly that is around 12 children that are killed whilst they were looking for Christ. So Herod was a villain. He might have been a powerful king, but he was a villain. He did kill the innocent. And the reason scholars still think that happened and actually side with the Bible over what's written is because as Herod got older, he became more and more of a paranoid man. And if you research Herod for yourselves, you will see his favourite wife, I'm going to try and pronounce it, Mariam, M-A-R-I-A, oh, so maybe Mariam, M-A-R-I-A-M-M-E, Mariam, I don't know. Anyway, so his favourite wife, he had killed because he was paranoid she was plotting against him. Not only that, 3 of his sons he also had executed. I mean, who kills their own children? He thought they were coming after him, were trying to take his job, so he executed them as well. Wow, so powerful man, paranoid killer. So when the scholars look at Herod, they can see how powerful he was, but as he got older and older, he did start becoming a bit paranoid and killing people. Therefore, they do believe, even non-Christian scholars say, they would side with the Bible and say he probably did kill the Bethlehem massacre, as it was known, but it wasn't written about in the historical documents because there wasn't a big enough number to actually document down, because it would have roughly been around 12 children. To me, those 12 children still matter. I'd have still written about it. It would have mattered to me. But I just wanted to give you a bit of a talk about Herod, the villain of the Christmas story. And if you look at the scholars, the Christians and non-Christians, you will see that they side with the Bible. You will see how true this story is. It's not just a fairy tale, but our Saviour was born, maybe not on Christmas, maybe more Easter time, but he was still, Herod was real. Herod was really a villain. He was a crazy, nutter killing machine who was a powerful king, who was afraid, intimidated of a baby, a 2-year-old, because he knew how powerful he would become because his scholars told him. Wow. Okay, I hope you found that interesting, and if you feel like going and researching a bit more about King Herod, let us know what you found out. We'd love to have a chat.